Yeah. New Tigolo, new Tigolo, new Tigolo, new Tigolo. 4:30. 7:30. 2:15. Hey yo, don't need a new style. Being dope is always in fashion. Peace to the West Coast, montage fashion. Everything's in-house, don't need a mansion. Doper than the last one. 4:30. Like me, Al mix. I spit that foul, yeah, and one. Everybody swing and holler at me if you land one. Don't need perfection, just pass on and don't need to be signed. I ain't got a cast on. Lot of opportunity, easy bread I passed on. It just felt troubling. Now class is in session and we got them testers bubbling like Scantron, fresh out the kitchen. Signed with a stamp on. I'm on some greatness, y'all on some lateness with no foundation, so it could never last long. I displayed patience. I done played Jason. It's Saturday the 14th. You got a mask on. Come on. Pushing me to the brink. A stagger in my footsteps and I don't even drink. It's so much on my mind, dog, and I can't even think.
It feels like everything is falling down.
Pushing me to the brink. A stagger in my footsteps and I don't even drink. It's so much on my mind, dog, and I can't even think.
It feels like everything is falling down.
They say the 336 is what raised them, but the 919 made him. Stark raving, rhyme like he ain't got the good sense God gave him. Anybody on his bad side, God save him. Late nights by the bedside, God praise him. He's the captain that told me to kneel, and when I was surrounded by the monkey ass, he told me to peel. Broke free of my deal and left shackles. Racing like Petty in the stock. Now we heavy on the block like guards and left tackles. See where I come from, if you and yours are up in arms like gun runners, and you are confronted with 99 problems and can't keep it 100, then at the day's end, you ain't really done nothing. I made a new lane for myself and said, why rage against the machine when you can just unplug it? For real, pushing me to the brink. A stagger in my footsteps and I don't even drink. It's
What up,
so
what
much
up,
on
what
my
up?
mind, dog, and I
What
can't
up, what
even
up?
think.
Locker Room Live. You're in the locker room. Hello, world. Yo, yo, yo. Mic check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. We'll figure it out. If you guys can hear me, I hope you're enjoying our logo. It was designed by a professional artist. That last selection was by Fonte of Little Brother. 2 2 2.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope you missed us.
We're live in effect.
Locker Room Live. How are you? World, we're here. Smitty Clutch.
I am John Reed, JR.
And once again, we're here with you another Friday. I'm here to talk sports, as we always do.
We are back. We keep paying the rent, and they keep letting us in.
I don't know why, but they do.
We got an exciting show for you guys tonight.
Indeed, indeed.
Let's jump right into it.
Let's jump right into it. We have a lot of NBA talk. We have some baseball. We have some current news, and we have a great, great guest. We're going to take you behind the scenes of some NBA transactions, some NBA talent, scouting.
I like to call him the man behind Phil Jackson.
Exactly. The brains of the operation.
Right. He came out with a book, 11 Rings. You know, he's got everybody trying to get him to coach their team. He's the guru, the Zen master. But people don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
I think we got the wizard, like the Wizard of Oz. We got the guy behind the curtain.
I would have to agree with you there.
So we're excited about that.
Yeah, very excited. So, we have the man behind the scenes of all those great Bulls teams in the 90s. And we have some great news and some great stories and some good laughter for you, as always. You are our family. You can check us out. Check out our website out, lockerroomlivetv.com, lockerroomlivetv.com. Great articles, great videos, up to date. Check us out on Twitter, at Smitty Clutch.
Yep. I am John Reed. All right, let's jump right into it.
All right.
All right, we're in Summer League.
Exciting.
NBA.
It's exciting for me.
I don't know too many people that actually watch Summer League besides you and maybe a few other people.
That's all that matters.
What,
I watch it.
Well, it was a slow day the other day. All-Star break is always, for baseball, it's always a slow time of year. They said it's the worst day in sports is the day right before the All-Star game.
Right, but we're pushing through.
We're pushing through.
And, you know, some people say that they don't like summer league and it doesn't translate to the regular season. I mean, I feel if it's basketball being played and everyone's playing hard and it's structured, why can't you sit and evaluate some of these young players? I like it.
Why not?
That's
Is
what
it
I'm
good
saying.
basketball is the question.
Well, you know, that's relative. It's basketball, and there's some good players out there. Not everyone is good. I mean, they're better than me and you, but, you know, I think it's good.
Right. I
It's
think we got some
competitive.
videos, too, of some of those good players. Let's
Definitely.
just jump right into it.
Well, one of my favorites, you know, man crushes in basketball, that is.
You have a crush on a man.
In basketball. That's why I stated that afterwards, so you wouldn't go there. Bazemore. I love this guy. He plays for the Warriors, of course, Ken Bazemore. I saw him last year. That's when I discovered him in Summer League, and he's a great defensive player. 6'11" wingspan at 6'4". So that's like, you know, that's like Dwayne Wade, you know.
Wow.
Lefty. I love lefties.
Lefties give people a lot of problems.
They do, of course. Most people aren't left-handed.
Right. Right.
And he's been tearing it up in Summer League. He's building a buzz because of the play he had last night and some of his defense and just nice creative plays off pick and roll. And then we have the other big European guy, Jonas, and I'm gonna let you try his last name.
Valaquinas.
Valaquinas. I don't think it's a Q sound.
It's a CUI.
So that is a Q sound?
Phonics.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not.
Because I remember you being hooked on phonics.
Hey. Don't be telling people about my ailment.
Valaquinas, as JR would say. Whoever this guy is, he's pretty good. I mean, he's put on a lot of size too, a lot of bulk. So he's tearing up Summer League. So
Okay.
yeah, let's check out Bazemore. How about that?
Okay, let's look at Kent Bazemore. This is last night, right?
Yeah, and this is what has the world abuzz with his play. This is him dribbling now, and that's him putting someone on a poster. So yeah, that was all around Twitter and everyone.
Who did he dunk on?
Some guy.
I guess he didn't know about the wingspan either.
He didn't, but he found out very fast, and he didn't know he was left-handed, obviously, too. He dunked that with some aggression, too.
You know, Kent Bazemore, he's got good size. He's very athletic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be hard to keep this guy around later on in the world. Starts to figure out that this guy's got talent.
Yeah, I mean, they're even saying it's going to be hard for us to sign him because someone else is going to come and offer him some money, which I hope doesn't happen. But
Because he's, what were you going to say?
I just think he has a spot on our team.
Definitely. Well, he's had a spot. You know,
Yeah.
we got another video that we're going to pull up. Kent Bazemore, if the rest of the world doesn't know, he's been kind of, what do we call him, the sixth man.
Or the
Jared Jack
12th.
might be
Or the 12th man.
Don't disrespect Kent like that.
I'm not.
man.
I'm just telling it how it is. And this is what the world actually knows him for is what they call him the cheerleader. He has these crazy celebrations on the end of the Warriors bench, which are just like entertaining.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was sitting and watch this and everyone's talking about this, but I'm like, hey, this guy can actually play though, you know?
And, you know, when he put him in a garbage time, like, he actually plays well.
Yeah, we could talk about him because Mark Jackson, he just decided to play Jefferson all the time, which I don't understand that, but hey, I mean, I
Richard
guess
Jefferson?
yeah, Richard Jefferson. I guess it
Old
was
man Rich.
it was an age thing.
Shout out to Richard Jefferson.
Okay, so can we see? We're watching some highlights.
Yeah, we're going to run a highlight of Kent Bazemore, but just to give you the backstory, he doesn't get a lot of playing time, but he makes his presence felt on the bench.
So look towards the bench. He's the guy doing all the crazy stuff.
Right. So what we're going to do, maybe we can get Ryan to help us out here, our producer. Shout out to Ryan. And he's going to help us by maybe using his mouse to kind of show you where Kent is, because he's not on the floor. But he's
Right.
still a part of the game.
He's on the bench.
All right. Are we ready? All right. So here we go. This is Kent Bazemore.
There
If
he
you
is.
don't know who he is. All right. If you look up in your top left, the top corner of the gym, you see this guy right here. And all of a sudden, after every play, he's got some sort of animated response. You know, you might get
It's some kind of dance.
the warrior pose. You might get, he got muscles right there. He showed off the muscles.
That was like a chimpanzee dance or something.
You know, the warrior pose again.
But this guy is smart. I mean, he's
There's
building
the jouster.
Yeah, he's building team chemistry, and he's keeping a job, in my opinion, at this time.
Yeah, he's throwing up the three.
I mean, 'cause you need that. This is a young team; they all get along with each other, and
He's
he
walking down the court even before the ball goes in. He's excited.
he keeps the energy high on the bench, and you need that, especially with the Golden State crowd, which is what they're known for.
And that's why he's a crowd favorite.
Yeah, so that's Kent Bazemore right there. I think you guys get the idea. But now he's making a name for himself with his play, which is what we all want to see. And again, like we stated earlier, Jonas is pretty much making a name for himself just by tearing up the summer league right now. I think Toronto just actually sat him because they've seen enough.
They don't want
Yeah.
the rest of the world to
Yeah,
see
they
it.
don't want. They're like, this is enough of this guy. He's tearing it up.
I would be interested to see.
Right. So let's move on to some more NBA news. We still have Brandon Jennings unsigned.
I am not surprised by that.
Are you saying it may be the 38% from the field shooting that's doing it
And I think that
at the
plus,
point guard position?
I think he thinks more highly of himself than anybody else does.
Yeah. Starting off in free agency, he asked for a max deal.
Right.
And I repeat, he shot 38% from the field last year. I mean, I think he's talented, but just the shot selection, just the way he plays is probably frustrating for any coach.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Jennings, he's way better than us, okay? So we're not clowning. Brandon,
Right.
if you come to L.A., come through the locker room, man. Come holler at
Well,
us.
that's obvious in any player we talk about in the NBA. So hopefully it's the last time we have to say that. Just all NBA players, if we say something about your game, we know you're better than us. So,
Right.
But
But asking for a max deal after
Yeah.
having one of the worst shooting seasons of your career,
yeah,
probably not.
Maybe that's the job of his agent to sit him down and say, that's not going to happen.
Right. Let's lower the expectations.
Let's lower that expectation a lot, actually. So yeah, he's still waiting to be signed, which is pretty surprising. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. Actually, Milwaukee actually tried to sign Jeff Teague, and who was it? Atlanta. They matched it. They matched his offer.
Wow.
So yeah, he was a restricted free agent.
Okay, so he's good.
Yeah, so he's good. So the Jennings is now figuring out what he wants to do and where he's going to play.
Boy.
So that's it. Yeah, we'll wait and see how that turns out. Maybe we'll have some more information on that next Friday. Moving on to the superstars of the league, the Lakers, 2014.
We
They're-
talked about this.
Yeah, but there's more buzz. There's more every single week. The Lakers are, next thing they're going to want Jordan to come back. Now they want LeBron, Melo, and Paul George now.
I mean, they probably could pull it off.
That's Laker mentality, of course, right? They said we can have the. I mean, it's the number one destination in the NBA, for obvious reasons. Sunshine, Hollywood,
Okay, so let's talk
Mystique.
about it. Do you think these guys? First of all, do you think LeBron will leave Miami to come to the Lakers?
I don't personally know.
Why not?
For one, there's already reports that say he doesn't want to come to L.A. I think him and Dwayne Wade have a partnership. They have a friendship, and I think Dwayne Wade obviously played better in the playoffs.
Right, but
And
we also
reminded
talked
us-
about that too.
Yeah.
He had a good little run there in the finals.
Yeah, he reminded us
stepped up.
why he's Dwayne Wade.
Right, but he's got bad knees.
Bad knees.
and he's getting old.
But I think the way LeBron looks at it is, it's Miami. He's there. They can get another free agent if something does happen to go wrong with Dwayne Wade.
Well,
If
they
he,
opened up some cap space, right?
yeah,
Rid of Mike Miller.
well, I mean, who knows? Maybe Pat Riley trades him in the future. I mean, I think LeBron's just going to ride this one out. It's hard to think about those things when you're winning championships.
Sure.
So that's what's happening currently. He's winning championships. So
But Carmelo is not.
right, and I think Carmelo's actually realistic. I think he will come to
Really?
LA. I think there's a chance. I mean, his wife Lala, she does a lot of business out here in
That's
Hollywood.
true. But he's building something in New York.
Yeah, he's one of the few players that gets along with Kobe in the NBA.
That's true.
I think it all lines up.
It'll be interesting.
And whatever
to see.
he's building in New York it's not a mansion. It's not. He's building a shack in New York. I mean, they have a high expectations over there in New York land, but something's just not right with that roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say it starts with Amari.
Wow, yeah, that's tough.
I mean, I like Amari, but I don't think he's gonna be that guy to get
Making a
you.
lot of money to come off the bench.
That's not good.
Yeah,
That's not good.
and Paul George, that's another player that Laker Nation is really, really, really looking at. But the thing is with him, I think they made he has a qualifying offer for next year. So
Yeah,
I don't think the Pacers are going to lose him. I think they're going to pay him.
I think they're gonna pay him too.
Okay.
I think they're gonna pay him too. I don't
And
think
that's all you have to say about it.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. I think the Pacers are really building something special.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think they want to throw away what they built. That's just this far. They were one series away from being the team in the Eastern Conference. And I think Paul George is going to be a big part of that next year. So.
But then again, Paul George said it wouldn't be that bad to play for the Lakers, and he is from Southern California. I forgot where, some small town out here. So, I mean, who knows? When the Lakers come knocking, he can say that now. Of course, what he's going to say, yeah, I want to play for the Lakers next year. While he's still
Dwight Howard doesn't think so.
Well, yeah, Dwight Howard. Let's not go back to that. There's been enough Dwight Howard this year.
Right. Let's not even go that route.
Last but not least, on the NBA news, LaMarcus Aldridge allegedly went to the GM and asked for a trade or said, he wouldn't mind one, which is pretty interesting.
Which is pretty much saying I want to be traded.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
If you go to me, if you go to the GM and you say anything about, going anywhere else, you want to leave, right? Who does that?
Who does that, right?
I mean, so I think Aldridge may just get traded. I mean, if they find a good deal for him.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one. I love him. I love his game. I love his mid-range. I love the high release. I would love for him to come to the Warriors, but I don't know if I should be a homer right now.
Well, we're always homers.
David Lee and Harrison Barnes package around that, and
I'm not mad at that.
That would give the Warriors probably the best starting five.
Shout out to D. Lee and Harrison.
Yeah, we love you guys, but if
still.
LaMarcus is coming, then that's that.
Right. Right.
So I know he's a Texas guy. I'm sure he wouldn't mind going to Houston or Dallas or one of those teams. Maybe Houston more than Dallas. So
Oof.
yeah,
Wow.
that would be tough
That
too.
would be interesting as well.
So enough of us. You want to get to the professionals to talk about this NBA and this NBA life?
Let's do
Someone
it.
really about the life.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you go ahead and introduce.
Yeah,
our
we want
guest
to welcome
tonight.
to the locker room. We got a very special guest today. Like we said, it's the man behind Phil Jackson, the man behind the Chicago Bulls run back in the 90s. We're really pumping him up, but I really do think he's
Why not? Why not?
Right, why not? Why not? It's our world. But we want to introduce Clarence Gaines to the locker room.
Thank you for coming by, sir.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for being a part of what we're
Shake
doing.
the hand of the man behind Phil.
Okay, so you probably never heard of Clarence Gaines because he is one of the guys that gets things done behind the scenes for the ball club. He's not the guy in front of the camera necessarily, but he's very important, right? So, Clarence,
Yes.
we have to introduce you to the world right now.
Okay.
All right. Now we know that you come from a long line of basketball in your family. So let's start there. Tell us a little bit about that lineage that you're a part of and the earlier parts of your career.
Well, anybody that follows basketball that's really into it, most people know who my father is, Clarence Big House Gaines.
Big House. That's a cool nickname.
That's a real cool nickname.
Yeah, he went to Morgan State and actually played football. He was an All-American football player back in the day. And when he got there, he rolled out to this little small Coupe de Ville, and the guy who was the business manager said, my, man, you're as big as a house.
There
They
it
called
is.
him Big House, so it stuck.
Yeah, it stuck.
Once he graduated from Morgan State, he also played basketball at Morgan, but he said he's a self-described hatchet man, just a big guy, just filling out and taking up space. He ended up going to Winston-Salem State. Actually, it was Winston-Salem Teachers College at the time. It's now Winston-Salem State University. And he was an assistant coach on the guy for 1 year, and that guy left, and then my father inherited everything, became the head football coach, the head basketball coach, the athletic director, and was a very successful football coach, and then had to choose between the two in his mind and chose basketball. That became his love. And,
As a coach?
As a coach.
Wow.
As a coach, and ended up winning
So wait,
over
so,
800
so
games.
Pops was the Deion Sanders of coaching.
The Deion, well, everybody was the Deion Sanders of coaching back in the day.
You coach football and then you just go coach basketball.
Yeah, well, they were all purpose,
One-stop shop.
Yeah, if you can coach one sport, really, you can coach anything. I do that right now on the youth level. I've coached soccer, I've coached basketball, I've coached track and field, I've coached flag football. Soccer, for example, was easy to coach because it correlates a lot, believe it or not, to basketball. A lot of the principles are and the concepts are kind of similar from that standpoint. But anyway, he won over 800 games, and in his career, was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Officially,
Wow.
he is the first African American, Black American, to be inducted in the Hall of Fame as a coach.
Wow.
That's amazing.
But really, that's an undeserved honor, and he would tell you, and this tells you a little bit of the politics of the Hall of Fame. His mentor is a guy named John McClendon. Any two of you know that name?
I don't.
Yeah, I need to brush up on my
All
history.
right.
Thanks for throwing us under the bus.
Right.
Stan.
I want to see how much basketball you know.
There's no Schwabs
There's
here.
work to do.
well, Coach Mack is a legend. He's actually known as the first black coach ever to coach in Division I circles.
Wow.
He coached at Cleveland State back in the day, but where he really made his name was at North Carolina College, and then North Carolina Central, and then went to Tennessee State. His teams at Tennessee State won 3 consecutive national championships. And back in when he won them in the 50s, what they did was in the NAIA, which was more inclusive of black schools than the NCAA ever was. And it took the NCAA time to get on board. And what they did was that all the black schools had to compete against each other to go to the spot
Right.
for the
For the
national
NCAA.
tournament.
It's like the great debaters of basketball.
But Coach Mack is a legendary figure, and he was my father's mentor. Matter of fact, on the internet, I have a video I put together for both of them, Coach Mack and Big House, and I did that when I made a presentation to a middle school. I put together 3 or 4 videos and gave a
And that's online right now?
presentation. That's online
Where can
right
people
now.
go see that right now if they
Yep.
want to just go check it out?
They can go to YouTube and put Big Mac and Coach Mack and Big House, and
Okay.
it'll pop up, and I think they will enjoy it.
Go do your history, people.
That's simple these days. Just put it in YouTube and you'll
Right.
find it.
Put it in YouTube, put it in a search engine, and it pops up. You guys might remember Black Magic, the documentary that came out a few years ago with ESPN. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
Yes.
want to make sure. Some of that footage I got off of the Black Magic, but also the guy who was a librarian over at my father's college had interviewed him, and I had all these tapes my mother sent me, and I went through them all, and I put an interview of him talking about Coach McClendon.
Wow.
And John McClendon, to go back to that story, he should have been the first coach inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, but he was inducted as a contributor, not as a coach, so it's a technicality. There's a lot of ways not a lot of ways, but there are a few different ways you can get into the Hall of Fame. So my father would tell you that the first black coach in the Hall of Fame is actually John McClendon, but officially, if you look up anything, you'll see my father.
His mentor.
It's
I
still
mean,
great to be a part of that. Though.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So tell us about your career. You started with the Bulls as a scout. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I started as a scout and a special assistant to the vice president of basketball operations at the time, Jerry Krause.
Now, how do you start as a scout? Like, tell us how you actually
There's
get
a,
into
there's a
basketball.
lot of different ways to people getting to being a scout, but how I got into it was that I met Jerry through my father.
Jerry Krause, that is.
Jerry Krause, years
The great.
ago. Jerry was the general manager. Jerry was a longtime scout in the NBA. Started out with I don't know who exactly he started out with, but when my father met him, he was with the Baltimore Bullets at the time. And there's a player that some of your guests might know of. My father coached, called Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Great.
one of the greatest showmen ever. Matter of fact, I have another video that I put together for those middle school students on Earl as well.
That's good. They need to know the history. A lot of these kids don't know some of these players.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about this is that it's filmed from of Earl in college. It shows some of that when they won the national championship. The college division at the time is now Division II championship. So that's online as well that I put there. But anyway, back to the story. Jerry knew my father then. He ended up, his team ended up drafting Earl as the second pick in the draft. Should have probably been the first. A guy named Jimmy Walker. You know that name?
Of course.
Yeah.
You know
Scott Walker.
You know who Jimmy's son is?
Who?
You see him all the time. Jalen Rose is Jimmy Walker.
Right. Oh, yeah. They did a story on that. But he didn't really know him that well, right? Jalen, growing up. Yeah, I saw that story. That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, they had a relationship, and I ended up meeting Jerry Krause through my father. And the way that went down was that Dad had to go back to New York to be at Earl's jersey retirement. And Jerry came down to watch the tournament game, and I had to give him the tickets. And we ended up developing a relationship over the course of 3 to 4 years. I would go to summer league games. Heard you guys talking about summer league
There it
games.
is. See, I told you guys it was important.
He would invite me. They used to have it over at Loyola Marymount. The LA Summer League was at Loyola Marymount, and I would go over there, and we formed a relationship. And one day, out the blue, he called me up and says, "Clarence, you want to do some part-time scouting for me in the California, LA area? I'm not going to pay you anything. I'll give you some expenses." But what he was doing was that he was testing me to see what my basketball acumen was. I have a master's degree in business, so I think he liked that aspect. He wanted me to come in to his organization if things worked out and understanding the basketball side and be an asset from the business side. So
Amazing.
that's how that ended up happening, and that was in 1988-89 season.
Whoa.
That year was Doug Collins' last year. You talk about
Yeah.
I'm
That's
not-
the 88
you-
MJ season? That's the 38-8 season.
At
When he averaged 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists.
Well, you better at that than I am. In terms of knowing that. I mean, MJ basically averaged 38 and 8 the whole time.
Yeah, right. But that season, he lost it.
He lost it.
Yeah,
he lost it in 88, 89.
He lost his mind. He was really tearing up the league.
Well, that was the year that he made the famous shot against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Right, exactly.
Over Craig Elo.
Yep.
And if you look at Craig Elo's name spelled back there, I always said it's Olay.
Ole, no defense.
We don't have to have a shout out to Craig hoping he'll come back, like the other guy.
He was a pretty good defensive player.
Craig was a very good player.
Yeah,
he was good. He was a good all around player, but who can guard MJ?
No one, especially not at that time.
Craig
The timing is interesting. So you started in 88, 89.
But as a part-time scout, my first official year was 89, 90, and in terms of full-time, and that was the first year that Phil Jackson came aboard.
I see a trend here.
As a head coach.
Right.
Doug was actually fired. People were up in arms about that. And when people see personnel changes made on a NBA level, they don't always understand the whole story. Like there were a lot of guys let go, and people saying why.
Yeah. Right.
But people had their reasons, and at the time, publicly, the owner Jerry Reinsdorf said we needed someone who could get us from. Doug did a great job of putting energy into the club that got us to point B, but we needed someone to get us to point A.
Right.
And they picked the right man.
Now, what was the real reason? That was the real reason?
That's really the real reason.
Okay.
If you really analyze Doug Collins' career, Doug's what I call a Dow Joneser in terms. He's very emotional.
Yes.
And,
Definitely.
He takes losses very hard.
Right.
And
we just saw that with the 76ers.
Yeah. And so he has highs and lows. And the key to anything in life, especially as a team, is to keep things on a level
Especially
playing.
as a coach.
Yeah, as a coach. When you're dealing with younger players, even keel.
And Phil did that. And another reason, and it's pretty easy to look up, is that I think you guys, being you're not Laker fans, you obviously are Golden State Warrior fans.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
You did
not
show me
a
some
Laker fan.
you did show me some insight though, and be willing to move David Lee, because I think David Lee's numbers are great on the offensive end, but he's a liability.
On defense.
Absolutely.
I said it for 3 years
So
now.
we know what we're
He's a
talking
stat
about.
filler.
We've been talking about that all
Because
year.
I get slammed about the David Lee. They're like, how can you? I love that. I like what he brings offensively, but to me, he's a stat filler. I mean, defensively, he's a liability.
I mean, if you could get LaMarcus Aldridge for the package you're talking about.
Yeah.
The logo, Jerry West, where you at? Talk to those guys. Joe LaCode.
I think the logo already knows this.
I think,
I think he knows what he's doing.
but here's one for you. There's a guy out in the summer league tearing it up right now, and I'm into social media. I tweet a lot.
Wow, that's good.
And I remember I actually brought this up about. Actually, I had made a great quote. Not a great quote, but I brought this up years before. They traded the who's the guard that the shoot 'em up guard y'all got rid of, went to Milwaukee.
Monte Ellis.
Monte
Oh,
Ellis.
I
What's
put
his name again?
I tried to forget. I mean, sorry. Like I said, please, if you're listening, don't be upset with me. But man,
before they traded Monte Ellis, and I saw the advent of Thompson, I said, they ready to move Monte out of there, because Thompson is going to evolve.
Yeah.
And they needed to get him out from a chemistry standpoint. So that was obvious. But Milwaukee has a player that I'd trade straight up for David Lee. And that's Henson, John Henson.
Interesting.
Guy from
Interesting.
UNC Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I've watched him.
He put up some huge numbers. He brings a defensive presence to the
Yes.
team. He's can cover on top of the floor and the post. He brings an unbelievable package. But people would freak out about that. So why would you say that? Because this guy is a two-way player.
You can see where it's going.
One-way player.
He has great length, and something funny about him is he actually was a guard. I think he had like a 6-inch growth spurt.
Yeah,
so he's really skilled.
And you mentioned something about wingspans.
Yeah.
And you know what the average
So important.
what the average wingspan is for an NBA player?
I don't.
Would you please tell us,
And-
Mr.
please,
Scout
please tell
expert?
In terms of the differential between height, let me.
I just know how important
Please.
wingspan is in basketball.
I just know how hard it is to play offense to get somebody with a long one.
Yeah, that's what I remember when I played. That was my lesson in basketball. Like if you're playing against someone with long arms, it's a nightmare.
So people sometimes say long arms and they look at the wingspan, but what I like to look at in making a determination of long arms is look at a person's height, look at their wingspan. The average NBA player has about a 3-inch difference.
Okay,
Now, when you start getting into 6 and 7-inch differential,
that's a
between us,
wingspan.
then you got a long wingspan. And the other thing to look at, and it doesn't always correlate, is to look at what a player's vertical extension is in relationship to their height.
Okay.
Because, you know, when you're going up top as far as you can go,
Right.
the basket's only 10 feet. So
Right.
that's the other thing that you look at and you measure from a physical standpoint. But that's how I got into scouting, and that was my primary function with the Bulls for 11 years. I did other things. I worked on contracts. I was in charge of our preseason and selecting the sites and
Wow.
getting the other teams together. And we would, with Michael, it's really easy.
Yeah, exactly. You're a genius with Mike. Huh? Everything you do is right.
You know, we could go.
That's why Mike Brown has a career.
We get a call up, and I'd call up the different arenas around the country. We would never go a home-and-home relationship at the time. We just pay teams to come to meet us as our opponent, and usually we get a nice sellout because the man was an incredible draw, and people wanted to feel that magic.
Yeah.
At some of the outposts that we went to that didn't normally get NBA basketball.
Now, what members of those 90s or 88, 89, 90s Bulls teams were you a part of bringing in as far as scouting?
You know, people always ask that. You have to understand about being a scout and a talent evaluator. And we didn't have the bloated staffs that they have now in the NBA. It was myself, a guy named Jim Stack, and Jerry. And then once we scouted and brought in Tony Kukoc, Tony had a best friend, and he's still with the Bulls. He's their European coordinator. His name is Ivica Dukan. It was us three, basically going all over the country and all over the world. And we all kind of bring it in together. Tony Kukoc, and I went over to scout him over in Zaragoza, Spain, when they were playing a European championship over there, and I really liked him. Matter of fact, people are really hype. If you look at the records that Jerry got a lot of heat from Scotty and Michael for pursuing, but I actually liked Tony better than Jerry did.
Wow.
So,
you're high.
But there are a lot of people that I could tell you about. Some of my greatest people that I scouted and did my best jobs on, we didn't pick, and. Sometimes we didn't have the opportunity to pick them, or we had a disagreement. And sometimes I was right, sometimes I was wrong. More times than not, I was right, though.
Of course.
I think it was very mean. What MJ and Scotty did to Kukoc in those Olympics when they really took it to him.
Well,
they didn't that was just wrong.
That's the way of the world, man.
That's just wrong.
That's a dog eat dog out.
They were picking him up full court, and I was like, come on, give Tony a break, man. He can play.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he was ready for that level of intensity just yet. But that's one thing that I've always looked at is I want to know, can you tell me anything about how they found Scotty? Because I think that's one of the greatest draft picks.
I know how
people
they
don't talk about. Scotty, that changed everything.
Absolutely.
Not just Scotty.
Small school?
Not just Scotty. Also Horace Grant was picked that
that's
year.
Another good one.
And he is really undervalued in terms of people understanding his role. Horace is one of the best big athletes ever to play in the NBA. I mean, ever to play in the NBA.
That's true.
And he got really into weightlifting and Olympic style weightlifting, and he could actually do power cleans, snatches, all the Olympic lifts that you see. Wow. And that correlates also to the court and shows his explosiveness because you're getting what you call a tripled extension.
That's why he was such a great rebounder.
Oh well, is that jumping ability doesn't make you a great rebounder.
Oh no, yeah,
the guy you showed at the end of the bench for Golden State, you showed a dunk. But what I'd like to see is what he can do when the path is not open in a summer league game.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, what's his skill set from the mid wing area to the wing area? How's he coming off of a screen, pulling up for a shot? What's that skill level like? There's a reason why he's on the 12th person.
Well, it's a shooting ability.
Right.
And he's young. I mean, I like how he plays off pick and roll, I love him defensively. I just think he's becoming a better ball handler, and he's improving. I think he's going to play next year. Yeah. I mean, that's what I think.
We'll see.
We'll see. But I mean, I understand why he doesn't. If you can't shoot, it's hard to get on the court.
Especially with those shooters.
Yeah, the shooters we have. Yeah.
I mean, you guys got to be licking your chops.
Right. Yeah.
It's been a long dry spell.
Long one.
Warrior.
Definitely.
It's just a whole culture change right now.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a player on the team besides David Lee and Curry that are not good defensively now.
Yeah, you probably don't know who Rick Barry is.
Of course. How do you know?
Don't disrespect us like that.
Yeah, man. We
I
grew
just
up.
get
We
it.
played against the Barry brothers. We're from the Bay Area. They all went to
Right.
De La Salle and the whole family.
But I want to get back to so Horace
You know,
Grant, a lot of
Josh.
insight there. Scotty though, what's Scotty's?
Well, let's go back to Scotty. Scotty's an interesting case. I think I just in social media I do blogs, but I also do something called it's called Chirp Story, where people have tweets and I put the stories together. And we actually got in this thing about underrated players, something of this nature, but late bloomers, actually people who were overlooked. And Scotty is one of the most interesting stories because he was actually not recruited by anybody out of high school.
Right.
Wow.
He was about 6 feet, 6'1".
Wow.
His high school coach calls a friend of his up at Central Arkansas and says, "I got this kid need to get in school. Can he be a manager for your team?" Scotty was a manager starting out. Then he started playing against him and he grew 6 inches.
Wow.
College.
And then this guy said, "Oh, you actually can play the game as well."
Amazing.
And
Yeah, when
he
you grow
just-
6 inches.
Amazing.
He just evolved over that 2-3 year time period, because he went from the freshman to his senior year, and he was at a school where he had to do everything. That's why
Right.
he became a jack of all
So
trades in
versatile, yeah.
terms of initiating the offense, having to finish, score, involve, rebound, defend.
And that's
so that
Scotty's
actually
game.
helped him out.
Yeah.
In terms of going to that school, and it was a perfect developmental opportunity for him.
Amazing. Okay, one more quick question on just personnel of the Chicago Bulls. So who's responsible for Bill Cartwright?
Yeah.
Bill Cartwright.
That's a Bay Area guy right there.
Bill Cartwright was the way you said that.
I know.
why are you
I'm
laughing?
teasing.
I'm,
I'm
like,
teasing.
I'm confused. I'm like,
Only-
Bill Cartwright can play,
Only
man.
because of the unconventional jump shot.
Oh,
That's
well,
what I'm only
it went down from the elbow.
But we need to really. I need to tell you something about Bill.
And young
in
Bill
terms
was
of-
really good.
Bill was traded for Charles Oakley, basically straight up, because of Horace Grant. Horace Grant had evolved.
they didn't need Charles Oakley.
Didn't need the oak tree. The Knicks needed the oak tree. They had Patrick Ewing. Bill had, people call him Medical Bill because but he actually, if you look at the first 5 years of his NBA career, he played about 80 games.
Right.
Bill was a stalwart defensively. Well, an underappreciated aspect of his game with people who don't really know the game is what he could do on the interior. And what he allowed us to do is he could basically single coverage most any NBA center.
Defensively.
Specifically Patrick Ewing.
That's big.
We didn't have to double team the post.
Wow.
So if you can negate someone with one person, obviously that doesn't compromise your defense.
It shuts the three-point shot down.
Plus, Bill was a leader. He was one of the,
Really?
He was one of the two captains during the first three-peat.
Interesting. When I think of Bill, I think of someone soft-spoken and kind of quiet.
Oh, he's tough. I don't know if you remember the incident where, and this was after Michael had left the team that year, and the Bulls won 55 games, and there was a playoff game, and Scotty refused to go in. And then Tony makes a three-point shot. Bill basically pleaded, emoted, cried in the locker room, and said, "You cannot do that to this
Ever
team."
again. Yeah.
And if you Google that, you can read that story. But that's the kind of leadership he was. So you
Behind the scenes.
you jokingly brought him up, but he was a key cog.
See?
Hey, I wasn't part of that.
That's why
I
you're
think Bill
here.
was the man. I don't know my
why you're
co-host. I
here.
don't know what that was about. I thought Bill was solid, man. He did not miss that elbow, and he played great team defense and man defense.
Plus, he's a Bay Area guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
course.
I can't take part.
can't
That's
believe
my
you
co-host. That was not. Hey, you can't throw me in that. I was just as
saying.
confused as you. I'm like, what are you saying about Bill?
I knew where he was going.
I like Bill Cartwright. Don't have him do a shooting clinic.
Not like Luke Longley. Okay, even though
Right.
Luke Longley was a big body and he was pretty. He wasn't bad either.
Right.
Luke was fine.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I loved Luke Longley out of the University of Mexico, and Luke should have been a better pro than he turned out to be, in my opinion. But he was serviceable for us. Big body, had a really nice skill set on the offensive end, and took up space.
Who didn't
defensively.
fit in the system? Was there anybody that didn't fit, or was it just a well-oiled machine?
The people who didn't fit usually factored themselves out the equation, and that happened early.
What happened to Craig Hodges? Why did
Hodges was fine. You got
rotated
Craig was in the latter stages of his career.
So you replaced him with BJ.
Craig definitely fit.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't. If you're watching this, Craig
down the street.
I was asking what happened to him because I know you went from Craig and then you went to BJ. I just figured you just rotated shooters.
Well, no, you had Craig, and you went to Pax, and then BJ.
Yeah, Paxson
came.
and then BJ. Yeah.
Okay, and then went to Steve Kerr. So he had all those shooters. But there are other people before that, and if they couldn't withstand the force that Michael is in terms of being able to play off of him and make shots, then they out the door.
Yeah.
Now we had Leroy Smith in the locker room, and he was telling us about how competitive Michael was. Was Michael as much of a problem in the locker room as a lot of rumors?
Michael's.
Hard.
Did he really
to deal
smack Kerr?
I was there today.
Oh, please tell us that story.
I was there that day.
Please tell us that story. That's the behind the scenes we're
with. Wake
looking
up
for.
on the wrong side of the bed. What was that all about?
First of all, Michael is great in terms of being a teammate, but he's very demanding.
Right.
But he's a different type of guy than Kobe is. I mean, if you look, you mentioned the book 11 Rings, and I'm in the process of reading it. And what I plan on doing is actually taking Phil's book. He's got 22 chapters. I'm going to do on my blog a expose on each chapter and then put my insight from what I know about basketball, life, or the Bulls angle.
That should be
and
good.
do that week after week. But and Phil actually talks about, and I think he is in he was at a book signing and a presentation in Glendale, California. He talked about, and it's been in the paper, about Michael and Kobe. And he talked about how sociable Michael has always been in getting along with his teammates, whereas Kobe,
not so much.
That wasn't his way.
Right.
But Kobe's matured. He's matured in the second go-round with PJ. It took him time to grow up. When you take a guy from a high school environment and put him into a pro world
with men,
that's one of my favorite questions when this started going down and started happening, that I would talk to young people about, and I would ask them this question. I said, "Don't be insulted. I'm going to ask you this question now. Why do you as a boy think you're ready for a man's world?"
Right.
And I'm not just talking about the game.
Right.
We're talking about everything around the game. All right.
And that's what Phil said. And Phil attributed to Kobe not going to college. He said he thought that was the difference. Michael had the college experience and was with other players, and Kobe came straight from high school to the NBA and didn't know how to socialize with his teammates.
I concur with that. There's some exceptions to the rule. You asked me about people I've been high on, and I've written a blog on this. This is one of the favorite blogs of people who have ever read it. Somebody just tweeted it out and recommended it, and it's been out for about 2 years, and it gets about 1,000 hits. And I have a blog on Kevin Garnett.
I knew you guys. I was going to say KG.
You shouldn't have said.
I was hoping you were going to say
anything.
KG, my favorite player of all time, even above Michael.
And Kevin Garnett, when I saw
Is he going to say KG right now?
when I saw KG in high school,
Can't tell me I don't know the game.
and I said, this kid should be the #1 pick in the draft.
Easily.
So what I have is a report, my college reports about Kevin Garnett, and along with some film and everything. And people really enjoy and love that blog.
Yeah.
But KG was just a different bird. I was like watching him the other day on the press conference that
There's nobody like him.
Jackie McMullen did with Pierce and Kevin Garnett. And I looked at Kevin Garnett, and his facial expressions.
Serious.
And his body language are very interesting to watch. And then I actually tweeted this out. I said, imagine if Dwight Howard had Kevin Garnett's mindset,
Doesn't even understand that.
focus, and how good he would be, man.
I don't think Dwight even understands that world, that life. Like what KG thinks mentally, I don't think he even gets
Dwight ain't
it.
about that life.
He is not about that kind of life. Like Kevin Garnett, he is by far my favorite player of all time. John is laughing because he knows that.
Yeah, it's another man crush.
I've called him the GOAT for as long as I can remember watching basketball as far as power forwards are concerned. I mean, you can argue Tim Duncan, that's fine with me. Yeah. But personally, for me, it's been Kevin Garnett.
Kevin was incredible at a young age because rarely do you see a guy of his physical skills and his athletic talent who had the technical and tactical skills, and also had a unselfish streak. Even in high school, he's involved in his teammates, not wanting or not needing to take over the game, but if he has to, he will. I remember seeing him against a team called Roman Catholic out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and they had a kid who came pretty good, a 6'10" post man. Actually got drafted in the second round in the NBA, never really made it. It's like a man against a boy.
Yeah.
So I thought it was hilarious because I rated him as the number one player back then. I thought it was hilarious that people were giving Kevin McHale all these great props for picking him at fourth. I said, this was the easy decision, man.
Decision.
But people weren't used to it, in terms of that high school player
in that way.
Because besides Moses Malone, and there's kind of a guy who was a high school player named Sean Kemp.
Oh yeah, I remember Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp really didn't play his freshman year in college. But it's a quick Sean Kemp story. You want to hear it? My father coached Sean Kemp in a all-star game. Not all-star game, but he was with a USA Basketball. It was a 7-game tournament in Taipei, Taiwan. And it was called the Jones Cup. Sean Kemp was one of the players. And he raved about Sean. And during the draft, this was my first year as a Bull Scout. And part-time, we had 3 draft picks. And I started, Preston and Jerry said, Jerry, you need to look at this Sean Kemp. You talk to my dad about him.
Wow.
And Sean ended up getting picked by Seattle, pretty in the mid-range of the draft. We picked Stacey King as the first pick. Then came with BJ right before Sean.
Oh, ouch.
BJ went before Sean, but BJ was a good pick.
He was.
But see, that was what Sean had some character issues. People were concerned about. Yeah. But as a physical talent, he opened people's eyes, and then Kevin really opened people's eyes in terms of taking kids on potential.
Early, yeah. I think 98% of the things Kevin Garnett does on the basketball court, the average fan doesn't understand or see.
Right.
I really do. The way he sets screens, the way he plays defensively off screens and hedging.
The way he sets screens. Moving screens that Kevin said.
He gets away with it, though. It's a solid. If you get away with it, it's not a moving screen.
That's a big issue with me in terms of all these moving screens that these NBA.
The NBA, they don't call moving screens very often. And he knows how to set them. But just just the fact that he likes to set screens. I think that's important when you're a big.
Kevin's a total consummate basketball player. You want to say this person's a position, but defensively, what I liked about Kevin was that I saw Horace Grant in him.
Okay.
You could put him at the point of the defense in a press situation. He can match up with multiple positions
and get out on those screens, hedge on those screens. Yeah. He's a talker.
He had everything. I mean, you just got a guy who is. Who just panned out the way people thought he would.
Yeah, well, that worked out well for me.
Yeah. We can do this all day.
We could.
We gotta keep it moving. Let's take a really, really quick break before we go to the rest of these, and we'll have Clarence Rowe with us for the rest of the show.
That sounds good. Yeah, we're getting some quick news, and if we have some more time to talk about some more basketball, we will.
Can chime in to some of our news here.
All right.
Cool. Thanks. LockerRoomLiveTV.com. Check us out.
By the way, on Brandon Jennings, what's going to happen?
Yo, yo, yo.
We are back. Obviously, you can see we get carried away talking about basketball.
This is real sports right here.
Real sports.
Real man
This is for the
sports.
sport lovers.
Right. This is not for the girls today.
Oh,
you
that's
know.
sexist, John.
I'm just saying, you
There
know,
are-
the good ones that, you know, understand the difference between a touchdown and a
I
home
know
run.
plenty of women that would beat you in 21.
Man, whatever. You don't know nobody would beat me in 21. Anyways.
Let's get to the current news. What you think? Shot, please. Good one.
All right, let's do it. All right.
Let's switch sports really quick.
Let's do it.
This guy, Jadeveon Clowney, animal.
How do you say his name?
I'm guessing.
Jadeveon?
Jadeveon. Let's just call him Clowney.
Yeah, because he be clowning.
He's clowning on the football field. Reportedly ran a 4.4. This is a guy 270 pounds. That's 6'6".
That's why it's impressive.
Right. And he also won an award at the ESPYs award show for best play of the year.
Yeah.
So let's just show that. I just thought that was interesting.
All right, so we got a
Interesting.
clip here. You guys remember this play.
You should remember this play.
Michigan at the 41.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Can we get that one more time? Right?
They're going to run it back. They're going to run it back.
Oh,
I think this is like hit of the year.
He knocked his helmet off and then picked the ball up with the other
He
hand.
probably could have picked it up and scored. He just kind of fell over. Like
He just didn't care after that.
I don't think he
was, "I'm done."
knew. I don't think he realized what he did. Like he had an opportunity to go score a touchdown.
That was a silly play. Look at this guy. And he's number one pick for sure next year.
First
right?
of all, who was blocking?
Oh. And then just pick.
I'm gonna just pick it up with one hand. Where's Big Sean at?
Oh, God. I mean, wow. One more time? Oh, poor Ryan. I know that running back. He should be so upset with his offensive line. I would walk right off the field and say, look, if you guys are going to block like that, I am done.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's the consensus number one pick most likely for next year.
The fact that he's running a 4.4 to be that big,
Man.
he is a deadly weapon.
He's a deadly weapon. Reminds me of Julius Peppers, probably more athletic.
I'd like him more than I would the Julius Peppers.
Yeah,
so
but
that's
Julius
scary.
was a freak, too,
He was.
though.
He was a beast. Okay,
Yeah,
moving
so,
on.
Anyway, Johnny Football Manziel.
Boy,
Johnny Football.
Let's just hit him off.
Where did they do that at? Apparently was late or didn't show up at all, right?
didn't show up at all.
For the Manning camp?
No.
And the rumor is that he had a hangover and overslept.
Well, he said his phone died and his alarm didn't wake him up.
Okay. It's 2013, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Football. I mean, you can't lead a team and your phone is being turned or just going dead at the Manning camp.
No, it's the biggest camp of your summer. That's
Your
where you go
career.
learn how to be great, right?
Pretty much. It's the Mannings.
Right. So not showing up.
And then it comes out that they said he's a party guy, and now okay, you're 20 years old, you're in college, we get it. I mean, but you're held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to understand that, and he doesn't agree with it. Apparently. But the hangover thing, buddy. I mean, you're going to go out and have fun, but the next morning you're going to Manning
He comes back
camp.
and just says, "Hey, I'm gonna go live my life and I'm gonna go do things and have fun."
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, you better play good next year.
You're gonna go hang out
the
with
media is going to eat him alive.
Maurice Claret, they're gonna be kicking it.
Oh wow, not Maurice. I mean, first bad game from him, and the media is going to tear him
Oh,
up.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So hopefully he plays well and he does know what he's talking about, and we're just making something out of nothing.
Right.
Next, ESPY Award winners. Let's just run through that. It was a good show. Some notable winners was, of course, LeBron. He's the first player or athlete to win 2 in a row since Lance.
Of course.
And I don't know, can we take Lance serious since he just got caught with the steroids?
A good question.
Yeah. So
Eh.
yeah, LeBron did it the right way.
We think.
We think.
Right. Not starting no rumors though.
Yeah, Tiger was. I think he was the best golfer. Serena won best female athlete. Happy to see that for her. Clowney won for best play, as we mentioned earlier.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, Johnny Football, who we were just talking about, was the best collegiate athlete.
Right.
And Adrian I'm Not Human Peterson was the best NFL player.
The ESPYs got it
obviously.
right. They got it right.
Yeah, they got it right. So
Yeah.
no arguments there. No problems with any of those?
We're good.
We're good. Okay. Last but not least, we have the Maurice Jones-Drew fantasy football story.
Now I know that we have a where they do that at section,
Yeah.
but
this one
go
is-
ahead, bro.
I mean, this story, apparently Maurice Jones-Drew, he's really big on fantasy football, and he, in an interview, said that the whole league is pretty much big on fantasy as well, and they, the players, they keep their scores, and they keep up with their scores, even on the sidelines.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's fun. But then he tells a story that's a little bit troubling. He says that his fullback, his name is Greg Jones, and he was playing him that week in fantasy football. He obviously had himself on his team, Maurice Jones-Drew, and he was down a few points. The Jacksonville Jaguars have the ball on the 1 yard line. And apparently they could break the huddle, and Greg Jones, his fullback, looks at him and winks.
So the play's going to Maurice.
Yeah, it's going to Maurice. And apparently, according to Maurice, the wink meant, I'm not going to block. So you
I
don't
want
beat me
you to
in
beat me in
fantasy.
fantasy.
So, I mean, it became news, and then obviously Maurice went and retracted his statement and said he was just joking.
Right.
But I don't know how to feel about that. Like, wow, does the NFL have a problem in the future with fantasy?
I think they will.
I mean, because I know I take my fantasy league very seriously. I'm actually a 2-time champion.
Well, apparently a fullback does too. Boy.
Yeah, apparently Greg Jones does too. He said, I'm just going to whiff on this block.
Right.
And it was funny is I think Greg Jones got traded or he's released or he's on another team.
Oh, boy.
I'm just speculating. Maybe I doubt that has anything to do with it. But I just thought that was absolutely
I don't know,
crazy.
Might be connected.
You want to talk about some quick baseball?
Okay, real quick. Baseball. Okay, it's the All-Star break. We just had the All-Star break. It was crazy.
Cespedes?
So, usually before the All-Star break, it's not a lot to, you just have to kind of watch patterns and trends. But just to update you, if you have not been watching baseball like I do, the Yankees are tanking it. Boston is leading the AL East. AL Central is Detroit. And then the AL West, the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's are
Go
leading
A's.
the division, which is, a surprise for most people because they don't usually turn it on to the second half. National League, Atlanta's out in the East, out ahead in front. Cardinals are doing their thing in the Central. And out West, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is a little bit of a surprise. But what's more surprising is the Dodgers slowly creeping. They're in second place right now, and nobody's really talking about that.
That's Puig.
Yeah, well, hey, Puig, what a difference a Puig makes.
But
right?
I want to talk about Cespedes in the home run derby, man.
Okay,
That's
so-
what I watch baseball for, the homers.
Amazing. Really quickly, 17 home runs in the first round. There's a lot of guys that don't hit 17 home runs in the whole derby.
And he's Cuban too, am I right?
He's Cuban, B.
So the Cuban B, they're taking over the
We got a
baseball
clip.
right
We got
now.
a clip of Cespedes just going ham on some baseballs here on All-Star Weekend. But it was amazing. It was.
Look at that. That's a bomb.
I mean, you had the other players. They were just sitting back as fans, just like, look, this is
Wow.
amazing. And he hit home run after home run after, and he was making them look easy. I mean, it's just batting practice. It's just hanging out.
I mean, I love the homer in baseball.
I mean, he hit one. That was, I think, he had hit that one in the third deck.
Yeah. Oh, he dug that one out the dirt.
Now that's not even a strike.
No, that was not a strike. That was a dirt ball.
Off the end of the bat, he's out there hitting trucks.
Yeah, he did. He put it in the truck too, right? Didn't he? Wow.
So, anyways, you get the idea.
You get the idea. Wow.
Really quickly, I think it's going to be hard to keep this guy around. I think now the world knows about him.
Well,
It's
yeah,
going to be hard to pay him.
seeing how the A's don't like to pay more than $5 for a player.
Exactly. So it's going to be a problem.
Moneyball.
Right. All right, moving on.
Well, yeah. Before we go to our last segment, which is where they do that at, I just want to ask our guests one last question.
Yes.
Can you give me one young player in the NBA that you see that's going to be a big time player? Can you make a prediction for us?
Since we're on the Golden State fans here, let's just make it easy.
I was hoping you would go there. I appreciate that.
Let's go Curry and Thompson and be done with it.
You said Curry and Thompson?
Yeah.
Does Curry count? Because I think he's already a superstar.
You do?
I do.
All right, he did evolve
After this playoffs.
in the playoffs this year.
So let's go with Thompson?
Let's go with Tom.
I'm happy you said that. I have an ongoing argument with one of my friends who just actually bet me that Clay won't make an All-Star team in the next 5 years, and I just thought that was ludicrous.
Take the money.
Yeah, thank you. I will. I told him to have his money ready because he has to at least crack. I mean, he's already one of the better shooters in the NBA, and he's a good defensive player.
Yes, he is.
And it was funny to me, the writers were,
And he can play make, too.
yeah,
So-
definitely. He can dribble. You look at a player like Reggie Miller who couldn't really handle the ball like he can, and he can already handle it. And it was funny how all the writers on ESPN, and they would all say, hey, he's a good young player, but he couldn't play defense. I didn't understand what they were watching.
Yeah, I don't understand what teams who drafted before Golden State were looking at, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, and Jerry, I think Jerry wanted him from day one. And we got him at 11, so yeah.
You're blessed.
Yeah, that's lucky of us.
Yeah.
So now, last but not least.
Where they do that?
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
We have a rap video for you from the Deshaun Jackson of the Eagles.
Right, he's a rapper now.
He is a rapper now. Part-time football player, full-time rapper named Jackpot. I actually followed this guy on Instagram, and it's very interesting, his pictures. You wouldn't know he played football. Let's just put it that way. No pictures of working out and things like that. I like Deshaun Jackson. He was a Cal guy. He's very fast, very explosive, but this rap video just confused me.
Yeah. I was like, is he transitioning? Is he just going straight?
I just saw.
Rap?
I just saw gang signs in the rap video. And can you do that? After Hernandez and all the
Yeah.
bad publicity, I just think we got to be smarter.
I'm sure the NFL is not really thinking too high of this.
I'm sure the
right
Eagles
now.
are not too high on this.
Yeah,
And he's in a contract year.
right. Well, maybe that's why he's doing it. Who knows?
That
Trying
makes
to get
sense
out
to
of
you?
Philly? Trying to get out of Philly? I'm not a character guy.
It's not Philly's not the problem. It's the rest of the league. Who's going to pick you up?
Right, that's true.
I mean,
That's true.
now, mind you, if he comes and has a great big year, none of this matters. But if he doesn't, then we get the video.
Are we good? All right. Diamonds
Just give a
on
minute
my
of
neck.
it. Diamonds are on his neck. Here we have Vegas.
Top 5 most expensive jewelry in the
Here's
world.
Snoop Dogg.
Here's the most expensive jewelry in the world. But wearing this jewelry is a different case altogether. These jewels are a symbol of wealth.
Typical rap video.
Let's take a look at the top most expensive
Ladies, chains, and dancing.
Oh, diamonds.
Hanging with my people, strictly for the set. This is for the people. Diamonds on my neck. Hanging with my people, strictly for the set. This is for the people. Diamonds on my neck. This is for the people. Diamonds on my neck. This is for the people. Diamonds on my neck. This is for the people. Diamonds on my neck. This is strictly for the people.
Diamonds on my neck and it's straight for
Okay, we got the idea there.
Yeah, you get it.
So that just that brought up memories of the great Primetime.
Prime time.
Yeah, that's definitely a
money.
win. So, well, all right. As I
You know, athletes doing rap songs, you know, we've seen it before.
definitely Jason Kidd, Gary Payton,
Deshaun Jackson
Kobe.
definitely stepped up the production game.
Yeah,
You know, he's
was
got
it-
Snoop in the video. That's cool.
It was just the gang signs that threw me off. We didn't really get to it, but that was the one that I couldn't believe it. I was dumbfounded.
Right. But we got to shout out
The
one
one,
of
the best
greats.
to do it of all time, which is Deion Sanders, my personal role model growing up.
And we're going to leave you with this as we shut down Locker Room Live.
Yeah, we're going to fade out with the great Deion.
The great Deion Sanders.
Well, all right.
With one of his classics. We thank you guys for rolling with us. LockerRoomLiveTV.com for the
been
latest
great.
analysis.
We thank Clarence Gaines for blessing us with all the behind-the-scenes information and great basketball talk. And as you see a young Primetime checking himself out in the mirror, we're going to fade out with this great song.
We will see you guys next Friday,
This is a classic.
8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern.
This should have been an album, song of the year.
I know you're a Deion fan and everything.
It
but
was. Well, all right. We got it?
We got it.
Hey.
You know, ever since I turned pro in 1989, when I signed the dotted line, it was strange. Those things changed for the better and for the worse. So I called my mama and she said, baby,
Must be the money.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Must be the money.
It's got to be because I got people wanna be my friend, people I never knew, people I never thought about associating with. I don't know what it is. Talk to me. Check it out. Diamond relax with gators on my feet. I got some pepper every day of the week. My hair is done, my fingernails phone number, my wardrobe. Hey, my snakeskin shoes gon' change into gators. Hey, my library cards gon' change into credit cards.